Hello Queens and Kings, my name is Thandeka Shabangu. Welcome to my channel. If it is your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Welcome to today's tutorial. This tutorial is going to be in two parts. So what we'll be doing for this tutorial, we'll be making our round neck piece. Now this is the most requested tutorial on the channel. I also feel like after we've done this tutorial, we can even close most of the channel. I'm joking. I'm not going anywhere. So the first part of the tutorial, we are going to be preparing our grass ring and then adding a belt on the outside. Then the second part of our tutorial, we're going to be adding the inside belt of our round neck piece and also the tie part of the neck piece. So what materials we'll be using for this tutorial? You're going to need your grass ring. This is the start of the show. So I'm gonna write below where I got this grass ring. You can just DM them on Facebook or Instagram and to get this grass ring. That's where I got my grass ring. And then you're also going to need your material. Now, remember the material that we use to make our bangle on the recent video. We made a bangle and also doing your umcha. This is the cheapest material you can find in your fabric store. I think it's about 15 rand a meter. The cheapest material. I don't know the name of this material, but it's the cheapest material you can find. So because I'm going to be using black material, I'm going to match it with my black upholstery thread. So for the first part of the video, you're going to need your grass ring, your upholstery thread, your needle, your material, and the belt you're going to use to cover the outside of your grass ring. Oh, there's also a vlog where I attempt making the grass ring. It came out well. It really came out well. I'm just going to add the link also to that vlog. Yeah, I was in Mpumalanga and we went to go get the grass and I made the grass. Yeah, so this is what we'll be doing for the first part. The belt, you can choose any kind of belt. There are different patterns of belt in this channel that you can choose from and decide from. Yeah. So let's get started, Queens and Kings. Again, Queens and Kings. I feel like this part is easier to explain in this angle instead of on the table. So what we'll be doing now is to cover our grass ring. Ne? So this is the material. This is the material that I cut out. It's a nice strip. So what we're going to do, we're going to place, so I measured this according to the grass ring. So how did I measure it? So the material has to come on the inside like this. And then you are going to stitch on the outside like this. Stitch it together like this. So that's how I measured, that's how I cut based on this measurement. Ne? So this is what we'll be doing. We'll be stitching all the way around. So I'm just going to quickly grab my thread and needle. I'm using upholstery thread and I'm using a black thread to match my material. So the way we're going to be doing this, oh, there's a stopper bead. I should just, okay, so I'm going to take it. I'm just going to make a knot quickly. Just one knot is enough. Okay. So I'm going to take my material. This is what I do when I work at home. I just take my needle and I just poke it on my clothes to make it closer to me. Okay, so take your thread, your material, put it on the inside. So the inside of your grass ring is the part that has to be the most neatest part. And then this part, the outside, it can be as messy as you want it, but that's not the aim. But it doesn't matter. It can be messy because we're going to put a belt on this part. So you have to make sure that our inside is the neatest part. So I'm just going to take my thread. I'm going to make a slight bend like this. This is about 1 centimeter. And then I put it like this. I put it on the inside like this. Now, this is what I did. Then I take my thread and then I'm going to stitch these parts together. Just poke my thread from the inside, then I pull gently. Just to secure, I'm just to go into it again. Then as I'm doing that, I'm creating a loop. Ne? Then I'm going to set my thread inside the loop so that I can nicely secure. Ta-da! Okay. So now what we'll be doing, we'll be pulling our material from both ends into the center. So this is how the inside will be looking like. Ne? Pulling it nicely into the center. And as we're pulling, we are stitching. From one side to the other side, we pull. Stitch from one side to the other side, we pull. As I've said, this part can be as messy because we're going to cover this part up. But make sure that you pull your thread nicely and tight, because when it's loose, it's going to have these, it's going to be loose. It's not going to look nice. So make sure you pull it. What I like to do, I like to squeeze it. I just put it like this, hold it this way, and then I squeeze the materials together. And as I'm doing that, I stitch from the bottom to the top. From the bottom to the top. From the bottom to the top. Okay. Squeeze it together. Just squeeze them together. Then I make my stitch from the bottom to the top. Hope it's nice and clear. From the bottom to the top. As you can see. From the bottom to the top. Then take some time, and then you squeeze together from the bottom to the top. From the bottom to the top. And then you pull your thread. So this is how it is so far. This is the part we stitched, and this is the outside part. This is the inside, and this is the outside. So what I'm going to do all the way around, and then I'm going to come back. Okay, queens and kings, so this is how I've done the ring up until this point. I wanted to show you how I'm going to close it up. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did at the beginning. Just going to fold it by a centimeter. I'm going to fold it on the inside like this. And then it's going to cover like this. So what it's going to do at the same time, it's going to overlap from the beginning a bit. And just overlap a bit. And then I'm going to close it here. So when you look on the inside, it's very neat. It does not have those loose threads that are from the material. So that's why it's important to fold it in. So this is this is the cloth. It's folded in on the inside, and then this is how I'm going to hold it in. So let me just fold it and pinch it, and then I'm going to take my needle. Just enjoy watching myself like this. I'm very fascinated. Take my needle from the bottom to the top. I make my stitch from the bottom, from the bottom to the top. It's a way. Get a bucket in the mop. So from the bottom to the top, I make a stitch. From the bottom to the top, I make a stitch. Remember to also pull your thread, ne? To make it nice and neat. From the top to the bottom, make a stitch. Then this is the last stitch where I'm going to secure. Here it is. I'm going to make another stitch. This is the last, I know I said the last time. This is the last one. So I'm creating a loop like this. Then what I'm going to do, insert my needle inside the loop. Then I have this nicely secured. Okay, this is the last time, the last time. So closer to the last stitch, going to make a stitch like this. And then I insert my needle inside the loop and then I pull. There we go. I'm looking for my scissors. Then once it's done, I just cut out the excess thread. Just cut out the excess thread. Okay, so here we have our grass ring nicely prepared. So this is how the inside looks like. I want to show you where we ended. This is the part where we ended, and this is the inside. You see, you cannot tell. So it's important to fold your material so that it can be nice and neat. And then this is the outside. Yeah, this is the outside of our grass ring. So now, the next step that we're going to do, we are going to be adding our belt. Now, it's important to measure your belt when you are creating your belt. You have to measure the entire, is it circumference of your round, of your grass ring. So you measure it out, and then you make sure that your belt is going to be the same length when you close it. Another thing, you also measure the thickness. So from the top part of your grass ring to the bottom, you measure that part, and then you make sure that the thickness of your belt is going to be that. Now, there are different kinds of belt. For other people, they prefer just to do the outside of your belt when it comes to the width of your belt. I prefer to kind of sip in a little bit, you know. I prefer it to come on the inside a bit. For other people, they just prefer it to be on the outline. That's okay. And what I usually do, I like it to be on the inside a bit, just to hug the round grass bead, just a little bit, not too much. Okay, so now the next step we'll be doing that queens and king. What I've done here, I just took my belt and now I'm going to cover it so it's loose all the way around. What I'm going to do now, the first step I'm going to do is join the two ends together. Now I'm just going to push them because it's a slim fit. This is how the belt is when it's relaxed, but when I push it closer, it comes together nicely. And it's a slim fit all the way around. Ne? But for now, the focus will be here on joining the ends together. Now I have my needle and my thread. I made a single thread, meaning at the end I did not join the two ends together. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come in. Let me start at the end. Start here. Set my needle first on one side. So I'm just going to move side to side, side to side. Make sure it's secure. And then I pick up these beads here. Then I pull. Oops, sorry. Let me just hold the circle properly. Okay. Please be patient with me, especially with this part, because the grass ring I'm working on is not completely flat on the desk. It's on the edge. So I'm doing two things. I have to make sure that I don't bump the camera, and I have to make sure that it's angled properly the way I'm holding it. Okay, so I just move from side to side. This is the first side. Go back to that 3. So I use the 3s that are on the sides. Then I go back to that 3 I was in before. So it's like a back and forth. Okay. Then I go to the next door. 3. That's 3, ne? Then I pull. Make sure I pull gently so that I don't have knots. And then I go to the next door 3. Then you see this is the 3 that I was at the beginning, the 2 black and 1 white. So after I've done the next door, I go exactly back to that 3 beads. So I just reinforce it when I go back. It's like I create a loop around those 3 beads. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the neighbors 3. So I've created the loop here. I'm going to this neighbors 3. Let me check the lighting. Okay, these are the neighbor's 3 beads. You see the original 3 beads, no? So once I've done that with the 3 beads, I go to the neighbor's 3 beads. The 3 beads that are next to those 3 beads, ne? And then how do I create a loop? I create a loop by going back to that 3 beads that I started with. You see? So by loop, just imagine that you are going in a circular direction. So from this point up, on your right down, and then on your left back up. You see? So you start up, down, back up. You see? So that's what we did. We started up, went to our, on the right hand side, we went down, and then on the left hand side, we went back up again. So once you're done with your loop or your circle, you go across to start another loop. I'm trying so hard not to breathe on the camera. Okay, so this is the new circle that we're going to start with. Yeah? So you see, on our right hand side, we go up. Then we pull our thread. It's like we're drawing circles, or we're drawing our alphabet O's. Moving in that motion. Oh, not happening. Can I pause a bit? I'm back and I've solved the knot problem. I'm back. Okay, so we go to our 3 on our right. We move up. The angle I'm holding in. Okay, I'm just gonna poke off camera, né? But I'll show you how I'm going to move. This is because of the angle I'm holding this grass ring on. It's literally on my lap. Okay, so I move up. And then I go to the next door neighbor. I'm like, hi neighbor. Then you move downwards. So you create an O. A 0, number 0, letter O. You see? You move downwards. It's like a loop. Then once you've done that, you go back to the original 3 beads that you had added, that you had inserted your needle in. And then you move back up, you see? So that is your O created. Then when you pull, they come together nicely. So this is how it is. So for the remaining part of the belt, I'm going to continue off camera. Just create your O's. So from now, you just move on the opposite. You move upwards. You insert your needle into these 3 beads. So as you can see with your stitch, there are these 3 beads on the outside that are sticking out. Ne? On the side, there are 2 beads. But on the shortest part of your belt, on the width, yes, you have 3 beads each that are sticking out. Those are the 3 beads that you want to utilize. On the length, you have your 2 beads that are sticking out, ne? When you're using the stitch. For other people, they use the Nedebele stitch. For Nedebele stitch, it's much easier because you just in, out, in, out. But for this stitch, you can use the systems of your O's. Go up on your right, then on your left side, you go downwards. And then you go back to your right, you move up. Kanjalo, kanjalo. So I'm gonna come back once I've completely made the circles on the remaining parts. So this is everything once it has been joined. This is how it is. So now what we're going to do is to stitch the belt to the wheel. Ne? It's to stitch the belt to the wheel. Now I'm not going to cut out this thread. I'm just going to continue using it. So the first step is just to stitch around. Is to stitch around on one side. Around on one side of the wheel. Then once I've finished, I'm going to cut the thread, and then I stitch on the opposite side around the wheel. Ne? So let me get started. Let me show you how it's done. Okay, I had to fix the lighting. It was too bright. Won't be able to see what we are doing. Okay, just ensure that it's nicely and secure. So remember, there was a time I was explaining that on the long side of your belt you work into there are two beads that are sticking out. There are beads of two that are sticking out. We're going to use those beads, ne? Okay, the problem with this is how I'm holding my belt. Okay, I mean how I'm holding my circle. Okay, I'm more comfortable when I'm working on my laps, when I'm putting it on my laps, and I don't know how I'm gonna position the camera while working on my lap. Okay, so it's sticking out. What you're going to do, you're going to poke the needle inside on your material, not on the grass, ne? On your material. And then in the two beads there is a hole, so that's where you're going to exit your needle, and then you pull. When you pull out nice and slowly to prevent knots. Don't be a Thandeka. This is what I mean by knots. Don't be me, please. Please, I'm begging you, whatever you do. Okay. And then, in between those two beads, that's where you're going to insert your thread. You see the thread is in between, the tail of your thread is in between those two beads. Then you take your needle. Look at the next door neighbor, the two black beads. Those are the two beads that are sticking out, ne? I insert my needle on the inside and outside the hole that is closer to the two beads. Then I pull my thread. Pull it slowly to avoid knots. Yes, thank you. Okay. So you see between those two beads, these are the two beads. Between, you take your tail and you put your tail in between. You see it's in between those two beads, ne? Then the next two beads are two white beads. You take your needle, you poke it on your material, and then outside on the hole that is closer to your two beads. Then you pull. Aibonikele process. You see this process? It's very nice. It's very, very nice. You pull your thread. Once you've completely pulled your thread, you take the tail of your thread and then you insert it in between the two beads. You see? Why is it not focusing? In between the two beads. You continue. Do not skip these two and say, I mean, I want to be quick, and then I go. You have things, you have your belt that is sticking out like this at some parts. So you need to be thorough with this process. Make sure you do not skip your two pairs of beads. You poke your needle under your material, under the two beads. No, you poke your needle into the material under your two beads and through the hole that is closer to the two beads. And then you pull your thread slowly to avoid knots. No knots are tolerated here. I'm joking. The way I've been tolerating knots, hey? Take the tail and you put it in between the two beads. Those two beads, they're very important. You'll need them. Take your needle into your material underneath the two beads and through the hole that is closest to your two beads. Pull your thread slowly to do what? To avoid knots. Thank you. I like you. You're very cooperative. Now you take the tail, you put your tail in between the two beads. Right? Are we following? Yes. Perfect. I like this class. Perfect. You take your needle, you poke into your material underneath the two beads and through the hole that is closest to the two beads. You pull your thread. Right? Pull your thread slowly to avoid what? Knots. Good. Then what do you do, class? What do you do? You take the tail and put it in between the two beads. La pasa, la pasa. Make sure you don't miss the two beads. Do not miss the two beads, because if you miss, you're gonna have something wonky like this. You see, you're gonna have things like this because you do not insert your thread. You do not hold it here. So make sure each and every two beads, you go through it, each and every, all around until you come back here. Right? Perfect. So now I'm going to do this off camera, and then I'm going to come back once I'm done with the top part of this, and then we're going to do the bottom part of our wheel. Okay, so this is me almost at the end. I just wanted to show you how I'm going to finish off. So the tail in between the two beads, take my needle and I poke it into the material, and then under the two beads. So these are the two white beads that we're currently working on. Then I pull, and then my thread in between the two beads. Take my needle, I poke it on the material under the two black and white beads, through the loop. Then I pull my thread. And then take my tail, and then I put it in between the two beads. And then needle into the material under the two beads, pull. Tail in between the two beads. Needle into the material under the two beads. Then you pull. Take the tail in between the two beads. So this is where we started. Just gonna poke in between the joining just to make it flat. This is the joining. Ne? Pull. And then what I do, because I don't have anywhere to poke, just on that material, just gonna poke. It's nice that everything is black, so you can't really see what's happening. Then I pull my needle. And then you don't pull your thread throughout, ne? You're just gonna create a small loop, and then you're going to put your needle inside this loop, ne, of the remaining thread, and then you pull nicely. So this is how you tie a knot. Pull it slowly, and oops, it's nice and secure. Once you're done with that, you're going to take your thread, then you're going to cut. Now, so this was the top part of our belt. We've done the top part, so the bottom part is the part that is missing. So let me just flip it over. So this is the bottom part that we want to do. I'm still going to start at the joining. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a knot on the tail of my thread. I'm just going to make 2 knots. 1, 2. And here are my knots. Oopsie. Here's my knot. Okay. So this is the bottom part, ne? Remember, this part is the one that we just stitched. So now we're going to be focusing on this part. What I'd like to do, I start from the inside and I poke the outside a bit. This is because I want the tail of my thread to be on the inside, ne? I want this tail to be on the inside. This tail to be on the inside, to just be covered by the belt. So this is where I go. So what I do, I insert my needle into the nearest 2 beads. Underneath the nearest 2 beads, ne? This is what I do. Take the tail in between the 2 beads. Ne? Then your thread into the material and underneath the 2 beads. You see we have our black and our white beads. You do the very same method, nothing different, just that now you're doing the other side of your round neck piece. You pull nicely, then you take your tail, put your tail in between the 2 beads, you see? Yes. Then you take your needle, you poke into your material, and then under the 2 beads. Under the 2 beads, you see, under the 2 beads. Then you slowly pull your thread. Then you take your tail in between the 2 beads, you see, in between the 2 beads. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to do all around until I come back, and then we'll be done. But let me just do it off camera, and then I'll come back to show you the results. Okay, queens and kings, I'm almost done. I just wanted to document the last moments. The last moments. So you know the drill. Yalazi udaba. In between the beads, and then insert your needle into the material under the beads, the 2 beads. Then pull your thread, insert it in between the two beads, your needle into the material under the two beads, take the tail in between the two beads, take a needle into the material and then through, something happened to my needle, into the material under the two beads like this, then you pull. Take the tail, make it in between the two beads. I'm checking where should I stop. Okay, material under the two beads, material under the two beads, and then tail in between, material under the two beads. Well, these are the last two beads that we're going to sew. Then you pull your needle and then the tail. So now we're going to secure. Just poke a little bit on the material. Just poke a little bit. I'll show you once I've done the poking. My problem is the angle. Okay. Just poke a little bit like this. You see? Just a little bit. Just in and out. Ne? Then you pull. You create a loop. Here is your loop. You insert your needle into the loop. You see the loop? You insert your needle into the loop. And then you pull. And then there is your knot. Then once you're done, take your scissors and you cut. So this is the first part of the tutorial, Queens and Kings. As you can see, our belt is nice and down all around, all the way, all around, all around, all around, all around. So this are the joints. Thank you so much for watching, Queens and Kings. I love you guys so much. We're going to see you on the second part of this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll be adding our belt on the inside and also have the belt that is going down. For other people, they prefer to stop here and not add any belt on the inside. That is okay too, but it's good to also have options. Ne? Just know, so this is where you're going to stop if you don't want to add anything on the inside, but then on the second part, you'll be learning how to attach the belt that is going downwards. So this is where we're going to stop, Queens and Kings. Thank you so much for watching, Queens and Kings. I love you guys so much. Remember to love yourself, respect yourself, honor yourself, and have fun. If you love the content that you're seeing, please consider subscribing. See you on the next video. Bye.